So many exotics, but so few have been blessed with the kiss of Lord Shaxx and have his approval. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 exotic weapons for PvP in the Crucible right now. Now obviously with making a top 5 list there is going to be a lot of hate coming. So please, before you send a really angry comment directed towards me, just bear in mind this is my opinion of the top 5 best exotics for PvP right now, and you can feel free to leave yours in the comments down below, but in a respectful manner please. I mean, come on, it's 2019. Now at number 1 you're getting a double feature because no one wants to click on a top 6 video. We have Monarque, the exotic bow that sort of acts similar to the way that Thorn acts. If you have not seen this gun, guys, it is a actual exotic bow that deals void damage and also tick damage. When you aim this bow down sight and you draw it correctly and you hit an opponent in the head and get some precision damage, you will send out a void tick damage that can deal damage to multiple enemies. Now this bow is very effective in the Crucible right now. I personally myself still don't have it, still need to grind out them forges, but it is a very good weapon in the Crucible right now if you are good with bows. Now this is not a one-shot kill to the head, but you can very quickly get a perfect draw, hit someone in the head, and then quickly switch to your secondary weapon and finish them off relatively easily. Now the reason this is on the list is because it's a consistent weapon. In terms of that, what I mean is it's consistently easy to land that headshot within a reasonably quick time to kill time, and then switch to your secondary weapon and clean up the kill. So it's very easy to actually confirm kills with this weapon. That's why it makes the list here. And then secondly, we're going to be taking a look at the wave splitter. Now again, I don't have this, I play on console. Please do not start a war at me now, you PC guys, but on PS4, this is a PS4 exclusive, you do have access to the wave splitter, so obviously it has to be on this list because it is a very powerful weapon in the Crucible right now. But again, I don't have it, but if you do have it, yes, it is something that you should be taking advantage of and something you should be using. So next up we have the Chaperone. Now this is an absolute beast in the casuals and the lower levels of competitive play. If you have the Chaperone, what this does is it fires a single slug shotgun, so it hits at an extended range and will one-shot kill people from a slightly ridiculous and slightly absurd range if you are able to land that precision hit on the head. Now the reason it's on the list is obviously because it can one-shot kill someone from a really great range very consistently. If you do spend some time getting used to the handling of the Chaperone and getting used to the optimum range, you can very quickly adjust your playstyle and start to rack up a lot of long-range kills with this weapon. Now it does have a big learning curve to the weapon, and you can't use it like your typical Dust Rock Blues because when someone's pushing you up close, it's very difficult to actually snap to the head when you're moving so quickly around the map. But if you adjust your playstyle right, it can be very effective. But like I said, this gun is ended up on this position in the list because it is still very good, but there are a lot of the weapons that I'd much rather use over the Chaperone in terms of their overall lethality and effectiveness. But don't get it twisted, this gun is very good and should be on this list, and you should be using it in the Crucible if you have not tried it yet. Next up on the list, if you have not used this yourself, I can guarantee you have been killed by it and have almost thrown your controller out the window in rage. That is the Telesto, nerfs inbound. At the moment of recording this video, the Telesto has not yet been nerfed, but it is going to be nerfed very soon. But it still deserves a place on this list because up until this point, and actually now, it has been absolutely destroying the Crucible. Lord Shaxx has been praising people using this thing because they've just been absolutely evaporating everyone, no matter what the range. Halfway across the map, does not matter for the Telesto. No, honestly guys, the Telesto deserves to be on this list. It is such an effective and such a unique exotic weapon in the game. A lot of people moan that it's overpowered, but I actually think it's kind of interesting to have a bit of variety in the Crucible. Yes, it's fun to have hand cannons and precision weapons be the best, but sometimes it's nice to throw in something different, and the Telesto is just that. For those of you that don't know what the Telesto actually does, it's a void fusion rifle that hits at a very long range. Now it's different to other fusion rifles where the actual bolts do not explode on impact. They will actually stick to a surface. Now this is actually the reason why this is so effective, because it can mean that you can shoot at someone from an extended range, say 4 of your bolts might hit the enemy, but 2 of them might not. They might land on the wall behind them, but because your opponent is in proximity to the actual bolts, they're still going to detonate. So you don't necessarily have to actually land all of your Telesto bolts on someone to kill them. If they're standing close to a surface and you hit the surface, you're going to end up triggering them bolts to go off and end up picking up the kill anyway. That, along with the fact that the bolts do a ridiculous amount of damage, and that along with the fact that the charge time isn't actually that great for how much damage it does, and that's some of the tweaks they're going to be looking at in this next patch, makes this weapon an absolute void explosion killing machine, and should definitely be used for those people that aren't very good at landing them precision hits. So if you're someone that's really struggling to land them headshots, the Telesto might just be a weapon that you want to be looking at picking up before this nerf comes in, because it absolutely shreds people. It's so forgiving and definitely deserves to be on this list, whether you like it or not. Now, coming in hot at number 4, we have Cade's Old Faithful, the Ace of Spades. Now, when this weapon first came out, it was deemed as the best hand cannon in the game, and rightly so. It was an absolute monster. Now, the exotic perk on Ace of Spades is Memento Mori. Reloading after a kill, loads a magazine with few extra damage bullets, grants radar while aiming down sights. Now, when this weapon first came out, it had so many perks that just made it an absolute monster. Basic stats alone made it an absolute monster, but its perks just made it an absolute killing machine. It takes 3 shots to the head to kill someone with Ace of Spades, but when Memento Mori is active, it only takes 3 body shots to kill someone. So it's still 3 shots to the head, yes, but also 3 body shots. So that means once you've picked up your first kill, your next kill is going to be so much easier to pick up, because you're going to be able to be less precise. And this goes really well into actually the Ace of Spades and what it's all about, because this is one of the hand cannons that has the best range and the best impact for its rounds per minute. Now, the Ace of Spades fires at 140 rounds per minute and has 13 in the magazine, which is very, very generous. So once you've picked up that first kill, it means that you're going to be able to aim at someone from a considerable distance, challenging people potentially in the pulse rifle range, and not have to worry about being as precise. So therefore, it's going to almost extend that range a little bit further, because trying to pick someone's head from an extended distance, it gets more and more difficult. So when you don't have to actually aim for the head, but you can still kill them with 3 body shots, makes this weapon an absolute monster. It's so smooth to use, it handles so well, great range, great handling, just an overall fantastic, a joy to use hand cannon, and definitely deserves to be on this list. If you're someone that's not unlocked this, it's very easy to unlock. You just have to go through the Cade 6 quest after you've completed the Forsaken storyline, and something everyone should have in their arsenal if they're going into PvP for the first time, or if you're an experienced member of the Crucible. But you might be wondering, why is this not on the top of the list? Now, this and the Telesto is kind of a toss-up for me on which one should be ahead, because I know on PC the Ace of Spades is very, very well used and very, very liked. It is liked on console as well, but kind of falls short to some of the other guns because it's a lot more difficult to be that precise on console. And you have obviously the Luna's Howl on the Not Forgotten, which I'd always recommend using over the Ace of Spades if you're not on PC. And here we have it, the creme de la creme, the weapon that I believe you should be using as your exotic if you're really trying to try hard and you're really trying to do your best in the Crucible. This is the weapon that you should be putting in that prestigious exotic slot when loading up to give it your best and impress Lord Shaxx. It is the Wardcliff Coil. This heavy weapon is an absolute monster. For those of you that don't know, the Wardcliff Coil is basically just a short-range death machine. When you fire this weapon, you launch out loads of little arc projectiles that are going to absolutely decimate your opponents. Now, if you're lucky enough to get the catalyst for this thing, it turns into an even bigger killing machine. Now, I know what you're thinking, why would I use this over the Ace of Spades or over something like the Telesto? Now, the main reason for using the Wardcliff Coil is because of its super shutdown potential. A lot of heavy weapons, yes, can shut down supers, but none of them do it nowhere near as consistently and nowhere near as easily as the Wardcliff Coil. With one Wardcliff Coil blast, you can wipe out, I'm pretty sure, all of the supers in the game, if not the majority, and that is massive when it comes into actually, you know, trying your hardest in the Crucible. When you're actually trying to win games, being able to shut down a super is a massive part of that game, because when someone's got a super, they can basically control an area of the map, but if you're able to take that away from them, then they've got no kills with that super, you've regained map control, and now your next set of supers, you can obviously reinforce that hold and reinforce that lead. And the Wardcliff Coil is something that everyone should be running with in their heavy weapon slot, like I said, if they're trying to do the best they can in the Crucible. If you're thinking about just trying hard in the normal Crucible, yeah, put on the Wardcliff Coil. If you're looking at going into competitive, my god, yes, put on the Wardcliff Coil. It will do you wonders, especially in competitive. I'm really targeting this towards because it's so important to obviously have that super control, and that's why it definitely deserves to be in everyone's exotic slot for the Crucible. Now obviously in PvE that's a completely different ball game, and in casual obviously you use whatever you want to use. You know, I'm not trying to say to you, for God's sake, you know, put on the Wardcliff Coil, you have to. I'm saying if you want to do your best, it'd be wise to put on the Wardcliff Coil. And like I said earlier when I mentioned about why I've structured the list the way I have, the way the game is at the moment, the Not Forgotten and the Luna's Howl are by far the best two primary weapons in the game, so you would not want to waste using an exotic over them. That's why I would not recommend using the Ace of Spades, because you can't use a good secondary weapon. If you can still use the Not Forgotten and the Luna's Howl with the Ace of Spades, but it'd be kind of pointless. So you'd rather use something like the Dust Rock Blues and obviously the Not Forgotten or the Luna's Howl. And again, I wouldn't recommend you using the Telesto over the Not Forgotten or the Luna's Howl. So again, that's why I don't recommend it there. That is why the Wardcliff Coil falls at this pinnacle top spot. But if you guys have enjoyed this guide that I've put together and have agreed with it, please let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't, please let me know down in the comments below what you think the top 5 exotics for the Crucible are, and also leave them in an actual list structure going from 1 to 5 so I can know some of your guys' opinions on the matter. If you have liked this, I am planning on doing more lists on my channel and the top 5 PvP armor exotics for the different classes, so stay tuned for that if you are interested. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys, and I'd like to see you in the next one.